Beat the rush and see Dylan Larkin, Anthony Mantha, and the rest of the Red Wings battle the NHL's best. With Detroit Red Wings partial season ticket plans. Customize your 11 or 22 game package to best fit your schedule. Benefits include tickets at below box office prices, home opener seats guaranteed, and access to concert pre-sales. Log on to DetroitRedWings.com now and get in on all the action.
All right, back here again at Belfor Training Center in Detroit, Michigan, where we are pleased to be bringing you the final day of development camp with the Team HOWE versus Team LINDSAY game. Change in goal for Team LINDSAY has Justin Fazio out of Sarnia of the OHL in the goal down to our right-hand side for Team LINDSAY in the white jersey, Team HOWE in the red. And we are underway. A 2-1 hockey game, and an icing call is made against Team LINDSAY. Take a look at the goal scoring in that opening period. Michael Rasmussen, a tip-in on a shot from the point, tying the game after Otto Kivenmaki had given Team LINDSAY the lead. Jack Adams then put Team LINDSAY back on top after the Rasmussen tip of a shot from the point area by Setkov, Malte Setkov, letting that shot go that Rasmussen, as Art pointed out, made a great play on. And again, showing that hand-eye, you get the sense that Rasmussen, as we've talked about, has all the tools, including a guy that can get to the front of the net using that size and that amazing hand-eye to score a lot of goals in the National Hockey League.
For a man his size, Bob, to have that hand-eye coordination is extraordinary. It really is extraordinary, and I think on the power play, the old term, that's going to be his office. I think that he's going to score a lot of power play points, and I think the long-term goal for him, even though he's going to start on wing, is to certainly become either a number 1 or number 2 center on this hockey club. Real quick, I think you could tell from our conversation with Chris Draper, Red Wings are ecstatic about the draft they had and about what some of the prospects that are on the ice today.
You would normally think it'd be a tempered enthusiasm, but I'm not so sure it's even tempered. I mean, you can't help but be outwardly excited about what you wound up with, Art. I mean, it's...
Well, certainly, it's a process. It's going to take a while. The Red Wings understand that.
And no guarantees of anybody, as there, is always the case.
Even though I know the Tigers right now are taking their lumps too, but people were excited about that club because there's some new, young talent, exciting guys, and people want to see the next generation, and that's where the Red Wings are at right now. We're going to see the next guys that are going to bring Lord Stanley's Cup to Detroit eventually.
Right now, down in the Team LINDSAY zone, they'll wind it up. Here's Berggren now on right wing. Boy, Chris Draper's been impressed with him, and you see a part of the reason why there.
Yeah, he really has looked good, guys. There he is. Oh. If he would have finished it off, it would have been perfect timing. But
no kidding.
Berggren has been better in this game than he's been all week. He's just growing in confidence. Maybe he started the week a little bit slow.
Maybe he's not a practice player.
You know what? I think more than that, like we talked about, wide-eyed. Maybe when he got here, showing why they drafted him as early as they did.
I'll tell you, that was a great pass from Seth Barton setting up. Berggren on the doorstep.
Seth Barton, a trail smoke eater. I wanted to work that into the conversation, and I'm glad. And it didn't seem like a stretch.
One of the good nicknames. It's like the old lacrosse league. I don't know if that team's still there in New Westminster, the Salmon Bellies.
The Salmon Bellies. Well, what kind of logo would that be? That
the New Westminster Salmon Bellies. They indoor lacrosse back in the day.
Well, there's all kinds of names now. I mean, people are getting creative. It's all about marketing.
Face-off out at center ice, controlled by Team LINDSAY. Now Hamilton will send it off a skate. Chalosky to go back and get it. Chalosky is kind of a bit of an unusual route to pro hockey, where he played in the collegiate ranks his freshman year at St. Cloud, then decided to go play in the Western Junior Hockey League, began the season in Prince George, and wound up getting traded to Portland, and that turned out to be a real good move for him and the Portland Winterhawks, for that matter.
Don't forget, that was after he'd been drafted, so he might have been advised by the organization to go and play where you play more games, that they thought that was better for his development than the college route, where you play fewer games, but you're in the weight room more. So, you know, it's different for everybody.
And Chalosky has clearly been in the weight room more.
Oh, yeah.
He has added some bulk, no doubt.
Well, Darren's right about Chalosky. I think the Red Wings actually encouraged him to, not that they didn't want him to get an education, because he will. He's a very bright young man, but to go into the Western League and
play more games, better for his development.
Exactly. They wanted him to turn pro, and he's real upfront about it. He said, I'm going to do what the Red Wings want me to do, and that's exactly what he did.
And that's, brings us to that whole, like Rasmussen we talked about, Darren, the fact that either he makes Detroit or he has to go back to junior. You think they ought to look at, I mean, I know it's been talked about, but do they change that rule at some point where they allow a player like Rasmussen to play in the American Hockey League as an underage, or do they, to protect the interest of the junior team, so they continue to go the same?
Think they'll protect the interest of the junior league and the product there, and the development, quite frankly, that takes place at the OHL, WHL, and Quebec League levels.
Look down along near corner boards to our right-hand side, where Elstrom in battling. Knocked away from him and past Velino. We're hustling back to play it. Is Riley Webb, now a pass at center. Hirose winds up with it. The Michigan State Spartan dropping it off to Kevin Maki. Now Kevin Maki venturing to the land of the Giants down there in the near corner. Knocked away now. Right back in they go. Here's a drop pass walking in. A shot by Veleno and a save there by Jesper Eliasson. Veleno's got it right back. Good feed in front. Cosconcello walks in, and a chance there, and a good glove save. Is getting the tip of the glove on that one was Eliasson.
Good ship by Cosconcello thus far.
Now look at Zadina dancing in front. A shot and a big save by Justin Fazio.
Sarnia native, played last season with the Sarnia Sting in goal, but prior to that, we saw Joe Veleno, the things he needs to work on and his skill. His shot isn't great, his passing is great. And we saw both on display in the same shift. There's a nice move by Zadina, his skill on full display, and nice save by Fazio. Zadina creating his own shot art. That's something that separates wingers from being good and great. And right now he has that great skill level to create his own shot.
Well, the thing I like about him, and you're absolutely right, Darren, I know we talked about it during the week here at development camp, his stick is always on the ice, and he's ready to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
He is ready to shoot, regardless if he's even playing in his own end. It looks like he's ready to shoot. But certainly, he is impressive, and I think Red Wing fans are going to like him.
And Hirose with a breakaway and a forehand backhand. And
got there.
He scores. As that one snuck through Eliasson. I thought he had it. So
as
did
Darren and I've
Eliasson.
talked about, that's all he does is put the puck in the net. Taro Hirose is an impressive kid.
He really is. This is the college line, if you will. Step up, big hit, makes the play, and in comes Hirose to make the goaltender have to make a play on him. Van Pottelberg can't squeeze the pads in time.
Yeah, nearly a point-a-game guy is Hirose in his first 2 years at Michigan State. 66 points in 70 games at the NCAA level. And as we mentioned earlier, a very impressive sophomore campaign, 42 points in 36 games for Tara Hirose, a native of Calgary. Now here's Golod with a nifty move and a good sliding defensive play by Cole Fraser to break that one up. And the puck now back the other way. Marcus Crawford will move it ahead to O'Reilly. His pass didn't get through. And now Golod has it on left wing, bumped by Fraser. Boy, you can see Fraser looking for that big hit. And that's a part of his game.
Cole Fraser is a physical presence.
Puck down to the near side where Fraser's got it. Makes the safe play, jammed it up the boards. Now it turns into a 3-on-1. Here's Gallant walking out in front. Toe drag, dropped it neatly in front, and Jack Adams scores. What a great play. And Team Howe is going to add to their lead here at 4-1.
No chance there for Eliason in goal.
Jack Adams, one of the players that Chris Draper mentioned when we talked to him in between the first and second period. But obviously, Gallant, unselfish, what a great play. And certainly, that was nice to witness. Very good play between those two young men.
Jack Adams, if I heard correctly, didn't realize he'd been drafted by Detroit.
No, he did not. They called him John Adams. He's never been called John. It took his advisor to call him and tell him that John Adams is you.
Didn't he tell him how you called him and said, hey, you got drafted by Detroit?
Right.
What's his response?
He asked
No, I
him why
didn't.
he wasn't happy. And he said, why would I be? He goes, you just got drafted by the Red Wings. And then he said, no, you know, John Adams. He goes, yeah, John Adams. He goes, you are John Adams.
Puck deflecting out of play. Lane Zablocki trying to redirect it down into the zone. It winds up in the netting. What a great facility. This is my first time here this week, and I don't think the novelty, I don't know about you guys. Obviously, Darren, you work here every day, and Art, you're here a ton and covering the wings. I don't know if the novelty will ever wear off in this
The
place.
Belfor Training Center pops, and I think what's really great about it is not only the big Red Wing logo, but these Stanley Cup banners are extremely impressive, just impressive. This is a wonderful facility, and the ice is holding up well, too, considering it's 118 degrees or whatever it is outside.
The amenities are tremendous, second to none. You guys had a great conversation with Chris Draper. There's another goal. The youngster Eliason having a tough go here.
He's kind of hoping that there was hoping for a whistle,
yeah,
but never came, and Team Howe just stayed with it, and the lead now at 5-1.
If Vegas, if there was a line on this game in Vegas, I have to admit, I probably would have taken Team Howe. But Team Lindsay really exerting their will right now.
David Pope with the goal out of Nebraska, Omaha. And as we mentioned earlier, he'll be turning pro this coming fall. So Team Lindsay, a 5-1 lead. Not quite to the halfway point here of this final day of development camp and the Team Lindsay versus Team Howe game, pitting all the prospects. Most of these players are draft picks over the last couple of years by the Red Wings, and a handful of free agent invitees, some of whom, as we talked about one of them, Tara Hirose, has been very impressive.
Yes.
And that's no surprise. Darren and I talked about him during the week. He was certainly a staple for the Spartans offensively, and as Darren's pointed out, for a team that struggled a little bit to score goals.
Well, part of what's been impressive for Hirose is the fact that he's come in and played his game, and that's what the management takes note of. That he's been able to come in and play his brand of hockey. And I called him the college line. You have Hirose, Conrad, and Adams all playing on a line together, and they've looked very good together.
It's Giovanni Smith stepping up into the plate, trying to get something going for Team HOWE, but unable to make anything happen down in the near corner. The puck now controlled by Conrad. He'll drop it back in the right defense. And up the ice once again goes Team Lindsay. Here's Berggren trying to slip through the defense. Puck slithered away. Marcus Crawford had it. Back pocket picked though by Berggren. Look at that play. Drops it off. Adams is going to walk in with a shot. Oh, he had that right side pick, but misfired wide right. And here's Zadina now with a puck on the right wing. A rink wide attempt. That one picked off by Regula, and he'll wander back into his own end, chased by Golod.
Berggren, good for him. Showing why he was such a high draft pick this year. Really flourishing in this hockey game.
Now Zadina to Rasmussen. Get the sense you'll hear that combination a few times for the next, we hope, a dozen years or so. There's Zadina to Svetkov. That one right through the goal mouth on a pass that wound up in the near corner. Golod will play it.
I'm getting the feeling that Zadina and Rasmussen do not want to leave the ice.
I don't think the fans want him to leave the ice either.
No, well, 5-1 score, I'm sure they want to do something about that as well.
Back down in the far corner is, it's controlled now by the Team HOWE defense, or Team Lindsay defense. Chalosky able to clear it away. Puck at center. Golod, the Concord, Ontario native, playing his hockey in the OHL in Erie. Now in goes Chase Pearson with a shot from the slot area, turned away by the goaltender Justin Fazio. Fazio, by the way, among the 7 goalies that are here, back to that topic of goaltenders getting much larger in this day and age of hockey, Fazio is the shortest of them all at 6'1".
And Fazio was brought in during the week because Keith Petrozelli became ill.
I took a look back, Art. Just used 1995 as a random year just to get a sense of how things have changed in the world of goaltending. There were 6 goaltenders in the NHL, 6 total in 95 that were 6'3" or taller. Last year, there were 28.
Well,
of course, led by Ben Bishop at 6'7". Really, Bishop was that first real tall goaltender that opened eyes, and now it's just commonplace. Every National Hockey League team has at least 3 or 4, 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", in their system.
And one of the greatest mysteries, Red Wings say, well, what happened to Peter Mrazek? And I think one of the things is that he was by today's standards, a bit of a small goaltender, and he had to really anticipate and cheat a little bit. And I think eventually, it caught up with Peter. Certainly wish him well. Hopefully he'll be able to catch on with an NHL team as an unrestricted free agent, since Philly didn't qualify him. But you're right. If you look at these guys now, Vasilevsky's a big man. Pekka Rinne's a big man. So certainly that does seem to be the wave.
Giovanni Smith's a big kid, and he's not a goalie.
Right. Well, really, Darren, what about that, though? I mean, you're a former goaltender. Is there an advantage to being that large? You cover just more of the net?
They just made a goalie change for the red team, Team HOWE. Victor Brattstrom is in goal. He is a big body, 6'5", and there's obviously an advantage if you can be athletic with size on your side. You have to have both in today's game, in my mind. We'll see. I mean, both of the goaltenders taken this year in the draft, Eliason and Brattstrom, big bodies. But again, just the geometry of it makes sense, right? If you're a big body, you can take up more net, but you have to be able to play. So we'll be able to see Brattstrom gets his opportunity here in the red and white game.
And Brattstrom in the Swedish.
And perhaps the #1 goalie prospect in the organization now, who is still recovering from a groin injury, Philip Larson, who's going to the University of Denver, is also I think he's 6'3". He's also a big man. And Keith Petrozelli, who was drafted last year, stands at 6'6". He's a little bit of a string bean, put on some weight, but you're right. The taller, the better seems to be the mantra
Fulcher
now.
is 6'3". I still think you have to be able to move and play, but size does not hurt you
Power play, by the way, for Team HOWE. And a long shot from the right point by Crawford, knocked down in front. He's got it right back, though, feeds it across. And Patrick HOWE letting a shot go. That one off a leg, got it right back to Zadina. Takes a look, now back across. HOWE for the one-timer, and he ripped that one wide. As Zadina gobbled it up. Our opportunity here now to watch the skill guys, Rasmussen, Zadina, among others, at work on a power play. And that, we talked about all those one-goal losses last year, right, Darren?
Yeah,
I mean, you think about
Zadina showing great puck patience inside the zone and drive on the power play.
You think about a good power play a year ago. How many extra wins would that have netted Detroit in a possible berth in the playoffs again, right?
Well, you'd like to think so.
Well, of course, that leads us to another exciting aspect of what's going on in Detroit these days. Dan Bilesma, hired this past week to join Jeff Blashill behind the bench, and will focus
Dan, from
among
your
many
side,
things on the power play.
Dan, from your side of the state, the
That's
western
right,
side of the
Haven,
state.
yeah. I used to tell Dan Bilesma, he used to run a hockey camp, and it was always the week before Griffin's camp, because we do our own summer hockey camp. And I kept telling him, can you move your camp to another time of the summer, because all the high-end kids went to his camp. So we got we got left with not so many of the travel level hockey players, but that was fine. And Dan Bilesma, known for a long time, great man, great hockey mind, a hard-working guy who has certainly put his time in the minor leagues. And boy, he burst onto the scene, didn't he, as a head coach in Pittsburgh, 8 years ago now, 9 years ago?
Yeah, certainly, I think a welcome addition. The one thing Jeff Blashill said when he was looking for an assistant, I want somebody, I know when I'm interviewing, they all want the job, but I want him to want that job in October, November, December, the dog days, to really grasp and be fully engaged, and obviously Dan is that man.
Team HOWE unable to capitalize on that power play, remains 5-1. As we mentioned, Victor Brännström in goal now for Team HOWE. Played in the Swedish second league, and now in front, Gilmore is going to score for Team HOWE to get them hopefully inching their way back into the hockey game, down 5-2.
That's right, the crowd's getting a little restless here. They want to see the boys in red make this a game.
Good play from behind the net. A couple of nifty plays from behind the net, including that pass that sets up Gilmore right on the doorstep. Not much chance at all for Justin Fazio. Now we got Giovanni Smith having words with Regula out at center ice.
Team Lindsay brings out their number one line.
Any scraps today, guys?
I would be surprised, but if there was one, I wouldn't be surprised if Giovanni Smith was involved. He was trying to goad Regula into a little bit of a set two there, and those players would have played against each other in the OHL this season, so there might have been some history that we're not aware of. But certainly Smith, that's his brand of hockey.
Well, if there's going to be a little dropping of the gloves, let's go Cole Frazier, Giovanni Smith. I would like to see that. That would be a battle royale.
Veleno in around the net again. A couple of good saves in the early going since the youngster Brännström's been in goal.
Gilmore from Vidmar and Zablocki, and Team HOWE now getting back into the game. They score again with 4:42 to go. It's a 5-3 hockey game.
Really good skill showing.
I wonder if Dan Watson will take a timeout now for Team Lindsay.
Elfstrom doing a nice job. I believe that was Rasmussen with him.
Yes.
Playing the decoy, doing his part, but Elfstrom showing his game. And he found the back of the net very nicely.
Right, we talked about him earlier in the week, Darren, and he has to show his game
yes.
at this camp.
A nifty play. Elfstrom makes it a 2-goal hockey game, and they come right back in again from the right wing. Hamilton letting a shot go. Fazio put the goal paddle on that one, deflected it aside. Now he has to wander out of his net and play the puck away. Here's a feed up the middle, broken up. Boy, Team Howe's got some life right now, don't they? Trevor Yates with the puck. Top of the right wing circle, letting a shot go wide. Rebound from a sharp angle. They missed the net. As Luke Morgan in battling in the right wing corner. Now Cocconcello knocked the puck free far side. And Trevor Yates winds up with it, but on him very quickly. Team Lindsay able to strip the puck away and clear it out. A long breakaway pass, great feed. Morgan trying to come up with a puck, tied up, and that will result in a penalty. Seth Barton, I believe, is going to go, and so Team Howe will have a second power play here and a chance to get within a goal all of a sudden. And here comes Zadina, Rasmussen, and Smith for the power play.
I think the smoke eater doesn't want to go to the box.
He's sitting on the bench right now, and no one's made a move to let him know that now he's gotten the word. And indeed, it is Seth Barton.
I think Seth just probably hoping for the best there, that they might rescind that call against him, but they did not.
Kelowna, British Columbia. Boy, that is one of the most beautiful spots in all of Western Canada, and there are a lot of great places out that way. A lot of National Hockey League people have homes in that area. Now play underway. Team Lindsay with the puck short-handed.
Oh,
boy, there's
looked like a high stick for Mike Isaac.
Berggren got whacked. Now right back in goes Team Howe. Left side Zadina with a shot that sailed wide. Rebound played back to the point to McIsaac. Can't handle it, and Team Howe has to regroup at center. Right back in they go as Setkoff's got the puck in the left wing corner. Now feeds Giovanni Smith. Got away from him. Picked up, neat play, and they'll jam it up the middle between the 2 point men and down the ice. Under 3 minutes to go now in the second period. The red team, Team Howe, fighting back into the game. As here's Valino now short-handed with David Popin across the line. Valino wide left. Oh, great idea. Pass across, though, blocked. And Team Howe with 47 to go in the power play.
Sorry. Valino showing his skill, but also showing his tendency to be a pass-first guy in that situation.
Boy, look at that pass by Rasmussen. There was nobody at the right point, but he saw HOWE coming onto the ice, and they pucked the other way. Valeno and caught up to by HOWE, who put a stick down, deflected his shot up out of play.
Yeah, a little bit upset with himself. Thought he had a good opportunity there, Valeno, but certainly he has shown a lot in this game. You can see why he was highly touted, highly considered to be a mid-round draft pick last week in Dallas, and the Red Wings feel very fortunate that he dropped to number 30 for them.
Face off into the corner. 25 seconds now remain in the Team Howe power play. Up ice they go. Chase Pearson down behind the net. Plays the pass off the skate. Now dropped off into the corner. They'll move it back right point. Crawford has shot through traffic, and a good job there by Fazio to stay with it. Make the save and hang on.
5-3, 8 goals scored. Like I said, last year at the development camp in the red-white game, I believe it was a 2-1 score, if I remember correctly. So maybe a precursor of things to come. Red Wings wanted to add offense, and there's certainly been a lot in this hockey game.
Here's a pass back to the line. Zadina for Smith that skipped right by him as the Team Howe power play comes to an end. Rasmussen, Zadina right back out there, shortening the bench. Is Team Howe trying to continue that momentum here late in period number 2, trying to climb back in this thing. Now here's a pass deflecting off to the line. Seth Barton with a play to Conrad and a shot that didn't get through, and it's back along the Team LINDSAY line, and Kinsella will take a pass. Tried to connect with Kevin Mackey. Failed to do so. Back in they go. Here's Rasmussen cutting in. Left circle hanging under that puck and swooping in. Kevin Mackey knocked it away from him with a minute to go now in the second period. Well, you look at Rasmussen and Veleno and Zadina, you think about when's the last time a Red Wing draft pick went right from either Europe or the junior ranks or college to the Red Wings? Been a long, long time, hasn't it?
I would say
Larkin.
Well, Larkin.
Well, Larkin from college, maybe Zetterberg in Europe.
But even Larkin started in Grand Rapids.
Well, yeah, he did the entire compression, if you will, because he went to the Worlds, did all those kinds of things, did Dylan Larkin, went to the playoffs with Grand Rapids.
It does appear Rasmussen will make the leap right from the juniors, though, to the Red Wings.
Puck along the far side, waning seconds of this second period, and now Kinsella will take it to the end boards, and that'll do it. Well, Team Howe's made a game of it anyway, down 5-1 at one point. Goaltending change for them, it seems to have sparked them. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but Victor Brattström into the...
it should be a great third period.
Brattström into the hockey game and didn't face a whole lot of rubber. Unfortunately, the youngster Eliason got lit up, 5 goals and 14 shots. Brattström faced 2, shut the door on both. And meanwhile, Team Howe inching back into the game now, down 5-3. We'll take a break, come back. Our second intermission coming up. Darren Eliot, Art Regner, and myself, Bob Kaser, will come back and continue along on this Saturday at the Belfor Training Center, downtown Detroit. The final day of development camp. Great to have you along with us. More coming your way right after this. And welcome back as we are inside the Belfor Training Center. Bob Kaser in between Art Regner from the Red and White Authority, and of course Darren Eliot, Fox Sports Detroit, and heads up as the director of Little Caesars Amateur Hockey. I got a tour of your digs yesterday. That was pretty impressive. This whole facility is absolutely off the charts.
Yeah, it is.
Most amazing building I know I've ever been in. Everybody I talked to, same thing. It is a premier facility. Good luck to the next team that tries to top this one, huh?
Well, you know what, though? It also gives you pause for why they brought this here and why it has worked so well. It worked so well in Traverse City, but for the players, they get to see what this is all about, the NHL level, and the amenities are special. You know, and I think that's given this week a little bit of a boost to why they brought the development camp here.
You guys have been around a lot longer than I have as far as association with the Red Wings. Thoughts about this week? I mean, you've been here every day, you know, in the trenches, getting to know these players, getting, talking obviously with coaches and management. What's the sense this week? Is it as exciting? I mean, there's an excitement in this building today that I know I've never felt before.
Right, certainly. I think Darren really hit on it. I wasn't sure the impact that it would have until I saw the reaction of the players. And you could tell that they were a bit overwhelmed that this is what being a Detroit Red Wing is really all about.
Sure.
And, all you have to do is when you walk out of Little Caesars Arena here is you see the vibe, the renaissance of Detroit happening before your eyes. And certainly I think that's incentive that you want to be part of that. And and the Red Wings are an integral part of this of Southeastern Michigan, this area, original 6 franchise, iconic logo, and I think that we can tell them all of that, these young prospects, but they saw it firsthand. They're experiencing it, they're witnessing it, and I think really, sometimes I guess I overstate things, but I really do think that this had a profound impact on them, and it would be surprising to hear what Ken Holland says. I mean, I know that they wanted to move it down here, but I'm wondering if maybe they're even surprised at just the reaction that they've received, not from you and me, but from the players themselves, how they have just really, really gravitated to this, embraced it, And I think it's going to go a long way when this development camp splits up and these guys go to the respective teams or work out this summer. Trust me, they're going to have visions of the Belfor Training Center and Little Caesars Arena in their head, the weight room, the Red Wing room, all that stuff going through, and I think it's going to make them push that much harder.
Yeah, like you need any more motivation to play in the National Hockey League, but boy, this facility, no doubt, provides some more. Observations so far, I mean, obviously 2 periods of development camp hockey, you do not a career make, but thoughts on what you've seen. You've had a chance to watch obviously the young superstars, the names that are most prominent front and center in the eyes of Red Wing fans, the Valinos and you know, the Rasmussens,
Yep.
the Zadinas. Thoughts on what you've seen so far through 2 periods here?
Well, in my mind, they've shown as expected. The guys you mentioned, the top players. The other thing is, I've really liked the youngster Berggren. I think he's showing very well. So I mean, part of it is they get to compete finally. You know, these guys want to be part of it, but it's a long week for them as well. So this is an opportunity to show what they can do, how they play together. I think part of it, the reality is, though, it's coming to a conclusion, final period coming up, and they're a little bit happy about that as well.
Great crowd, it's jam-packed. I wonder how many people might have been here had they been playing next door. And
well, you know, Darren, Bob, is notoriously known for his work ethic. He takes no days off, but I do think that it will be good for these young men to take a step back. No sooner were they drafted, some of these kids, and boom, they're
Right
in
here.
Detroit here at development camp. I think a little bit of a mental break. I know Filip Zadina is looking forward to going back to the Czech Republic for a couple of weeks, kind of catch his bearings, and then come back and focus on making the Red Wings come training camp. And don't forget about the Prospects Tournament, too, which he'll be part
that's
of.
when we're back in Traverse City. That's a huge part for these guys. The Prospect Tournament, and then for some of the guys, the upper end guys, it's all about training camp and trying to make a mark with this Red Wing team.
Well, let's take a look at some of the guys that made a mark in the first 2 periods. Some highlights of what we've seen so far. As Berggren, you mentioned, and after talking about the fact that he had kind of a tough week, but boy, he has been terrific during this game, hasn't he?
He really has been. I mean, he's made a mark and been positive in what you would have hoped, you know, because like I said, not all these guys come in and have it go the way they want to for various reasons. And Berggren is one kid that has had a real strong showing in the first 2 periods.
Well, I think that we talked about certain guys were going to have to make a mark in this game. I think every one of these players has raised their level of play for this game, Darren. I don't know if you feel the same way. There just seems the pace to me, I think, is extraordinary. I really do. Again, a lot of them have not played competitive hockey in this type of environment in a number of weeks, about at least a month and a half. And I think to be thrown in this situation against your peers with Ken Holland and his staff looking from above, I think they're feeling the pressure, and I think they've, or there is pressure, pardon me, and I think they've reacted very, very well.
We talked about Eliason, who started the game, had a tough day, 5 goals and 14 shots, but you just saw one of the great saves he made just a moment ago as we look at some of the highlights of what we've witnessed through 2 periods of hockey, a 5-3 Team Lindsay lead, and here's Zadina. Boy, you know, I don't know, is it just me, or does he remind you a little bit of Gustav Nyquist? Those quick feet, the little choppy strides from time to time, trying to dance out of traffic and maneuver through traffic.
Yeah, he's a scorer like Nyquist, but even they would hope to project even better as a scorer. But I like that one highlight where it showed that he can create his own shot. That's elite. You know, when a winger doesn't need a centerman necessarily or all the time to get him the puck to create his shot, he's able to do it himself.
Yeah, I certainly, nothing to take anything away from Gustav Nyquist, but certainly I think Philip Zadina is a much higher end talent than Gus is, and Gus is a tremendous Red Wing, don't get me wrong. But what I do like about him, and some in the Red Wing organization have used this term, Philip Zadina is a dancer. He weaves in and out, he creates his own shot, and one thing that he does very, very well, and you always see it, he goes to the net. He's not the biggest guy, but he goes to the net.
That's where goals are scored.
That's exactly right. He has that figured out at 18 years old. So I'm really impressed with him. Just his movement, creating his own shot, and going to the net. And his stick's always down.
I've really liked Joey Veleno. Like I know,
Yes.
I've liked him all week, and in this game, he has, when there have been moments, he hasn't forced it. That's the other thing. None of them have forced to try to, get there and show something. But when there's been a moment to show something, they've done it. Joey Veleno certainly has been along those lines.
Well, Matthias Selstrom scored a beauty too, using Rasmussen as a decoy to score a nice goal as well. We've seen a lot of great plays, and certainly more to come here in the third period. We're going to wrap this thing
there
up.
have been a lot of great plays. I think what's interesting, we really haven't talked about many defensemen, and that is because of the talent that is on the forward core. These guys are really taking it to them, and nothing against it. I'm trying to think in my mind what defenseman has stood out. Maybe Setkov a little bit, but I'm not taking anything away from them. I just think it's that the guys who are going to be paid to put the puck in the net are bringing their game today.
All right, we got to take a quick break. Third period's coming up. Development camp from the Belfor Training Center continues right after this.